Hello, folks. Welcome to the Kids in Comedy graduation show. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. You made it to your couch or to your car if you're, I don't know, in a fight with one of your family members. Who knows what's going on over there, but you're watching our show. My name is Nick Maritato. I am the host. I am the host for today's graduation show. I'm also the teacher for this class. What you're about to see, if you've never seen a Kids in Comedy show before, is kids who have the last 8 weeks or so have created their own stand-up comedy sets. They came here with a whole bunch of ideas and they wrote and wrote and wrote. And then me and the rest of the staff sort of helped them sort of mold it into stuff that sounds a little bit more like stand-up comedy. And then they did some edits and they came back, edits and came back. And then finally we have today, which is our graduation show for our advanced class, our Thursday class. And I believe this is going to be their last class for the regular year. Of course, we have summer camp coming up. Hit kidsincomedy.com if you're interested in having your kid come to our virtual summer camp. So no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have some Wi-Fi and a device, you can be taught stand-up by this guy. But thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited. I know a few of you out there are probably starting to get worried that you're going to have to care about how you look again. I know that's happening to me right now. I figured we'd be in quarantine for the rest of our lives, but it turns out we got to go outside now. And so I'm now back on the old diet. I took about a year off, but we're back. And I have very specific diet goals though. I want to be skinny enough to call myself fat in a public place such as this and not have everyone feel bad for me. But I want to be fat enough to call somebody else fat in a public place such as this and not have everyone be mad at me. So that's sort of the stand-up comedy weight loss goals I'm dealing with right now. Like a year ago, I moved from New York to New Jersey, and I got to say, I am way less fat in New Jersey. I don't know what that means, but it's true. I used to live off the L train in Brooklyn, before I moved here. And that is the skinniest train by far. My weight loss goal was to not be the fattest guy on the L train. That was basically what I was looking to do in my entire life. It was hard. I used to have to be very diligent when choosing which car to get on, Be like, all right, not this one, no, way too skinny. Wait a minute, there's a guy wearing shorts in the dead of winter, sweating while eating a burrito. Looks like I found my car. And then I'd go stand next to that guy and get all the ladies, because that's how it works. It is about perspective, if you really think about it. Maybe you don't need to diet or exercise. Maybe all you have to do is hang out at fatter places. Okay, take it from me. I used to hang out at hip coffee shops, lounges, clubs. Now I only hang out at Burger King, Walmart, hot air balloon festivals, Cracker Barrel country stores, the Margaritaville gift shop. These are the places I hang, and I'm the skinniest guy around. I did mention the Margaritaville gift shop. You've been to Margaritaville, the great chain restaurant started by famed rich trop rocker Jimmy Buffett. You guys know Jimmy Buffett? I know there's a lot of young people. If you don't know Jimmy Buffett, you've heard some of his songs. Wasting Away Again in Margaritaville. You know that terrible song? That's Jimmy Buffett. I'll tell you what, I hate Jimmy Buffett. And here's why. Mostly because Jimmy Buffett exclusively sings about one place, okay? He sings about Key West, Florida. And he makes it seem like paradise. He sings about coconuts and dolphins and dancing with mermaids on the top of the ocean. Have you ever been to Key West? I ask you that because it is awful. It's hot and sticky. Everyone who lives there is a criminal of some sort. It's really where a divorced dad turns into an alcoholic pirate, in my humble opinion. I think I'd like Jimmy Buffett's music if he was just a little bit more truthful about Key West in his songs. Tunes like cheeseburger that's in my mouth, I found it in that garbage can, or I sleep in a hammock, 'cause I just own a hammock. That's a good song. Or how about puke to the left, vomit to the right, and my wife won't let me see my kids. Anybody from Key West? I hope not. A little about me, moving on, a little about me. When I'm not performing super, super funny stand-up comedy, I edit major motion pictures. Thank you so much. I can hear you clapping. Thank you. No one pays me to. I should say that. I just do it for fun. It might be illegal, but you know, who's going to tell me what to do in my own house? You know, I like to make fan edits of big movies. You know, basically what I do is I'll take a movie and then I'll just like remove like a plot line through editing, and then I think the movie's better. Like I just did Jurassic Park, and I edited out all of the dinosaurs. No more dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. So now it's just a movie about a family on vacation, and for some reason, everyone's arms keep falling off. Okay? That seems like a lot more fun. I'm working on Alien right now. I'm going to replace the alien with Danny DeVito. Seems scarier. Think about it. Okay, before we start the show, I do want to tell a little story. It is kind of a brag, I will be honest. So, you know, bear with me. When I turned 5, I had my 5th birthday party at Pizza Hut. Okay, I am bragging there, but that's not the whole story. There is more. And I understand, like, Pizza Hut's super dope, but just wait. About halfway through, this is the most serious thing. About halfway through, me and my friends are kicking it, eating some stuffed crust, drinking some dew, you know, 5-year-old stuff, you know what I mean? And out of nowhere, literally uninvited, Batman shows up. Yes, Batman shows up. And already we're like minds blown. We're like, what's going on here? This is Middletown, New Jersey, way far away from Gotham. What's happening? You know, and here's the craziest part. He stayed the whole time and hung out with me and my friends. Incredible. Most incredible moment of my life. I'll never top it. I will admit that experience kind of ruined Batman for me a little bit, you know, as I got older and got more into superheroes and stuff. It's just like I couldn't really get into Batman. And, you know, it's just hard to kind of have respect for a superhero once you find out how kick-ass he is at making balloon animals. You know what I mean? It just takes something away from it. It's like, oh, Batman, you're going to be late to stopping the Joker because you're finishing up painting a dandelion on a 5-year-old's cheek. Get your priorities straight, Bat Guy. Do it up. Anyway, folks, we have a fantastic show for you, okay? So many comics, so much material. They work so hard on it. So please pay attention. Please enjoy yourself. And obviously, you can't interrupt us, and that's what the best part about being on Zoom is. Your first comedian for the evening is a very, very funny guy. Give it up for Sam Croyne, everybody. It's Sam.
Hi, everyone. So last Tuesday, I was doing my normal Tuesday routine of plopping down on the couch and seeing whatever was on TV, and I found this show called The Masked Singer. For those of you who don't know, it's a game show originally from Japan, the country that brought us other fantastic game shows such as Slippery Stairs, Catch the Chicken, and Man Eats Spaghetti in a Dryer. And it's basically a game show where these B-list celebrities dress up as Sesame Street rejects, and then they sing. And when they sing the worst, they have to take off their helmet and reveal who they are. And then you freak out because, like, oh, I've seen that person on the TV before. But before I started watching the show, I did not know that it was only like B and C-list celebrities. I thought there were like superstars on it. So like I started watching the show and they were giving hints as to who the people were. They're like, this person's been involved in music. And I'm like, oh, I bet it's Jay-Z. And they're like, they've had multiple hits. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe it's Taylor Swift. And the person lost, they took off their mask and I was like, oh, it's T-Pain. And like, I don't have anything against T-Pain. But, like, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't recognize him unless he was wearing a shirt that said, I am T-Pain on it. But, you know, what was I really expecting? Like, with any game show, the judges are the bar. Like, there's no game show where the contestants are more popular than the judges. So whoever it is, they gotta be less popular than Ken Jeong. And, I mean, I think I'm more popular than Ken Jeong. So, the list gets very short there. And really, like, is Brad Pitt going to be sitting in his mansion like, yeah, I have money, fame, and all that, but you know what? I really just want to dress up as an octopus astronaut for 3 weeks on The Masked Singer. That seems like a great use of my February. What a scam. But you know what? I actually did like the show. Something about the way the pirate llama was grooving really got me. So maybe I should try to watch some more Japanese game shows. I'm going to see if Man Eats Spaghetti in a Dryer has gotten a primetime slot yet. About a few weeks ago in English, we were reading these educational essays, and we read one called Consider the Lobster. You don't need to feel a certain way about the lobster, you just have to consider it. And I thought that was kind of weak. Like, nobody will ever consider the lobster if the title is Consider the Lobster. That's like an article like Contemplate the Crawfish or Ponder the Penguin. Like, it's just not impactful. And, the thing is, this article was very informative. It was talking about, like, the ethics of eating lobsters. Do lobsters feel pain? Very educational. But the thing was, it was in this magazine called Food Weekly. Like, in between these juicy pictures of steaks, there's, like, this professionally written essay. Like, these people who have this magazine don't have time to consider the lobster. They've already eaten the lobster. Seeing this article in the food magazine would be like seeing Jack Black in a fitness magazine. Like, a nice thought, but like, it really doesn't belong. But I was reading it, and the article itself was actually kind of sad. Like, there was some very sad stuff in there, and at some point I was like, oh no, I wish I could stop considering the lobster. Like, they let you know that lobsters actually can feel pain. They have neurons and stuff, and when you throw them in, like, the pot to cook, like, they can feel that. And people just try to justify that by saying, like, no, that's just the air escaping. But, like, what if a lobster threw you in a pot and you started screaming, and they're like, no, they're fine, that's just the air escaping. Them saying, help, I'm being burned alive is just, that's normal. That's normal, don't worry about it. They also talked about, like, the past about lobsters. It turns out that lobsters used to be looked at as a gross food. They would serve them in prisons to prisoners, and the prisoners would hate it. And, like, what else were they serving them? Would the prisoners be like, oh no, creme brulee, how horrible. But, the article really did change the way I looked at lobster. I mean, just the other day at dinner, my dad ordered a lobster for the table, and, like, I still ate it. But at least I was considering how good it tasted this time. Speaking of dinner, I had Passover dinner with my family a few weeks ago. Passover is the Jewish holiday. You go to your family's house, your grandma makes matzah balls, and you read the story of Passover. And basically, the time of the story takes place in Egypt. The Jews are slaves, shocker. And this guy, Moses, you might have heard of him, who's like super duper besties with God, who I heard is a pretty chill friend to have. He's trying to free the slaves from Pharaoh. Pharaoh, just one name, like Madonna or Elmo. And by the way, that's my second Sesame Street reference of this set. Stick around and maybe you'll get a third. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Pharaoh, Jews, plagues, matzo balls. So Moses tells Pharaoh that God is going to give him 10 plagues unless he lets the Jews go. And Pharaoh's got to be the most stubborn guy on the planet. And, like, I get it, those pyramids aren't going to build themselves. But after, like, 10 consecutive plagues, you'd think the guy would take a hint. Like, he just pretends everything is fine. Like, his servant comes up to him and he's like, hey, man, yeah, so the sea is blood. It's all blood, very bloody. And Pharaoh's like, and so it is. Isn't nature great like that? That's just phenomenal. I mean, I wish I was as chill as this guy. I mean, if even one frog falls on me, I'm going to kind of freak out. Even like a tadpole, I'd be pretty perturbed. But, like, this guy has a whole hailstorm of frogs, and he does not care. Like, the Egyptians start chasing Moses and his squad down to the Red Sea, and this guy Moses literally parts the sea. And, like, I'm one of those people who's impressed when somebody can make the little water tornado in their cup. So I feel like a dude who can literally defy the laws of physics and nature is not to be trifled with. But Pharaoh doesn't care. He's like, go on ahead. Like, seriously, if you're wondering why the Egyptian empire collapsed, it's because of stuff like this. Last weekend, I was in Chicago with my family, and we went to visit the Bean, which is this big sculpture in Chicago. It was made by this guy named Anish Kapoor, and he's like a typical art loose bag. He actually called the Bean the Cloud Gate, and he's really mad that everyone calls it the Bean. And, like, I get it. If I worked on something for years, and then somebody just went up to him and was like, ha, that looks like an artichoke. Like, I'd be kind of mad. But the more I looked into this Anish Kapoor guy, he's really a jerk. Like, there was this new paint created called Vanta Black, which is a darker version of black, which in itself is kind of weird. Like, what's wrong with current black? Like, I'm perfectly fine with the black we have now, but apparently people thought it needed to be darker. So now we have Vanta Black. It's like a dangerous chemical. It can't really be used. But Anish Kapoor bought all the rights to it. No other artist can use it. Which leads me to Stuart Semple, who is my hero. He's also a painter, and he also makes paints. If you look up Anish Kapoor arch rival on Google, Stuart Semple actually comes up. I'm not joking. He made Black 2.0, which is better than Van de Black in every way. It's the same darkness, and it won't like burn your eyes off if you try to use it. And he has made it available to literally everybody in the world except Anish Kapoor. Like seriously, on the website to buy it, you have to check a box that says "I am not Anish Kapoor." And like I like that that's supposed to stop him. Like he comes into the website, he's like, "Ooh, here we go, gonna get some sweet Black 2.0," and he sees the checkbox and he's like, maybe next time. It's so petty, and like I love it. Like seriously, Stuart Semple, you're one of the greatest artists of all time, and you solely use your skills to mess with this one other guy. Anyway, that's my set. No third Sesame Street reference. You stuck around for nothing. All right, see you later.
Give it up for Sam Croyne, everybody. Keep it going for him. Consider the lobster. Consider the joke writing is what I say always. Not even when I don't even need to be prompted by any sort of other reference. I just always say that. Folks, we have so many good comics still coming. And I'm going to tell you what, you're in for a big treat because our next comic is absolutely hilarious. Give it up for Maya Arden. Keep it going for Maya.
Thank you. I just want to talk about the elephant in the room. I know when you look at me, you think rich, class, top tier. And I think you got me. What can I say? I don't mean to brag, but I live within a 4-block radius of 3 different pharmacies. So yes, I know, living the life. So I wanted to share with you guys just my lifestyle and what that's all about. So there is definitely a hierarchy for sure. At the top, we got CVS, very consistent across the board. Any CVS you go to in America or wherever they have CVS, it will be the same. You know where everything is. And I love that for them. Now, next you have Dwayne Reed, because Dwayne Reed is owned by Big Pharma, Big Walgreens, whatever. We're not going to talk about that. And actually, they recently redid their store because when Sandy happened, a window broke. So instead of fixing the window, they just put a carpet down. So that I feel like that just adds some personality to it, which I really love. And finally, we have Rite Aid, and it's kind of like if you go into Rite Aid, like, what are you doing? Like, oh, it's kind of weird. I only go there when I'm like feeling really dumpy, or I guess like a normal day for you guys, like I guess whatever. So I just wanted to share some of my life hacks that I've learned. So every week we all go on a Pop-Tart run. We all do this. This is a given. So I personally, if you want the most bang for your buck, you're going to want to go to CVS. It's only $2.99 and they have great flavors. But if you want variety, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your dignity and go into the Rite Aid. I'm sorry to tell you. But while you're there, normally they have buy one, get one Arizona iced teas. The only problem is recently they've been running out of the green tea flavor, which I drink like religiously. So I don't know if it's my fault or if it's someone trying to mess with me for all of my Rite Aid slander, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But I do think that your wardrobe definitely changes when you're at this height of luxury. You need to dress for the occasion with everything. So if you're going to the CVS, you're going to want to bring some headphones because it's like more of a 4-block walk. Sorry, my rich caught my tongue. So it's a 4-block walk. And you're going to want to bring some headphones. The Rite Aid is really hot because they have no air conditioning, like I said. And so you're going to wear like a tank top, some flippity floppities, just flip flop into the Rite Aid. But everybody knows that Dwayne Reed has the creepiest cashiers. So you're definitely going to want to layer up, put on that sweatshirt, put on those sweatpants for Dwayne Reed, and also some protective shoes. Cause like I said, there is still a broken window there. Now, besides pharmacies and being rich, I do have other interests. But I feel like women aren't allowed to have interests. I feel like we are persecuted for every interest that we have. You know, when a guy likes something that's trendy, he's trendy and he's cool and he's with the times. But if a girl likes something that's trendy, she's basic and needs to get her own personality. I'll have you know, I do have my own personality. It might be like literally everybody else's, but it's my own and I love it. I feel like whenever women try to go against the norm and we really try to stand out, men will tell us to go clean the house, go back into the kitchen, go make me a sandwich, go build me a bunk bed, make me something, go fight in a war, like whatever you're supposed to do. Because I'm not making you a sandwich, I'm making myself a sandwich, I'm hungry. So I feel like what women have had to do is we've had to make our own little girl boss groups, you know, our own little groups just for the girlies where it's a safe space. And what happens when we try to do that? Because we have tried. What happens? The Salem witch trials. Okay, that's what happens. You guys burn us at the stake for liking shiny magic rocks and brewing things in cauldrons. I thought we were supposed to be cooking. And now we're getting hung because of it. Now I know what you're thinking. Maya, this happened in 18. Why are you so upset about it? Okay, you caught me. You caught me. I'm a witch. Yeah, I am a witch. I know what you're thinking. I thought we got rid of you guys. You're not from Salem, Massachusetts. You're from New York. Blah, 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 blah. We were always here. We just gaslit everyone into thinking that we were gone. Witches, that's crazy. Where'd you hear about that? Your friends? Did your friends tell you about that? No. So we're still here, and I want to meld normal, boring people who don't live by 3 pharmacies and witches. I want us to all be one. So I want to share with you guys some things about crystals that I have and I really love. So you see that witchcraft isn't scary. None of this is scary. So first, this is rose quartz. It's like the love crystal, and it just opens your heart up to new possibilities. I personally wear it on my heart chakra. And it's just like a really nice, soothing thing to have. Next, there's amethyst, which is really good for balancing your chakras, relaxing, reducing anxiety and stress. So this is a really, really simple, good one to have. The next one is obsidian, which actually gives menstrual cramps to men within a 5-foot radius of you so that they know that it is really that bad. It is that bad, Jeffrey. Okay? Next, we have howlite, which will make any man sore from walking up a flight of stairs. So it crushes his ego because he was like, I was in the gym 5 days this week. Why am I sore from walking up a flight of stairs? So that's really fun. Just little puppet strings. And finally, we have ruby fuchsite, which is the prettiest one. And this will kill someone. Literally just dead. So yeah, see, witchcraft isn't scary. It's really fun. And I hope you guys learned something. Have a great night.
Keep it going for Maya! Maya Arden, everybody. She's not one of those scary witches. She's like one of those funny witches, like Samantha Stevens or some other old person reference. Folks, we have so much comedy. Please, please, please stick around for it. Because if you leave your chair or wherever you're sitting or standing, or maybe you're standing over the sink right now eating a sandwich like a true American while you're watching this, just keep your device near you because we have so much comedy coming down the pike. And you know what? We're going to keep it rolling right now. Your next comedian is hilarious. Give it up for Sally Ray Emke, everybody. Keep it going for Sally Ray.
Howdy. Since the pandemic, I've made a lot of internet friends, and I love the internet. It's like people like from all over the world uniting over fart jokes, and it's important to know that you don't know who's on the other side of the screen. Like if you know someone in terms of who they are, like personality, you never know what they are. Like my friends online know my art style, my favorite shows, my worst fears and why they are birds. But just try and ask them my height. They'd probably give it in like milliliters or Central Eastern. I don't know. I'm saying all this because I recently found out that one of my closest friends is British. I've known her for the entire pandemic. And like, apparently she's been British this whole time, probably. And like, her name is Moll. It's probably Moll now that I'm saying it out loud, it's not a rodent. But yeah, I probably should have picked up the hints with the occasional bloody hell or being a bit cheeky or the occasional, right, what's all this then? She hasn't said yet. But once I did find out, I was fascinated. See, the thing is, we, America, not the rest of you, as a country, have decided that it's okay to be prejudiced as long as the person you're being prejudiced against is British. And like, that's completely okay because they've decided the same thing about us. It's fair, but it changes the dynamic. Like, I used to think that nothing of it when she like brewed herself a cup of tea. Like, yeah, some people like tea. I had tea once. It was great. But now whenever she does, I'm like, oh, is it tea time? Is it tea time in Britain? Are you in tea time? Does the big clock say it is tea time? When is tea time? And I still don't know when tea time is. So like, that says something about my listening skills, but I don't know. And anytime I say something like that, like anytime you say something like that to a British person, you're opening yourself up for what time is it for you? Do you hear the fireworks yet? And that sucks because yeah, usually I do, except they might be gunshots and I never remember which echoes and which doesn't. And if you think that's relatable, apparently it's not to anyone else in America. So like when you're starting to concern people, you feel like you're not representing your country well. And I do have to represent my country. I'm like some sort of underqualified ambassador. Like, I don't even need to show America in a good light. I just feel the need to meet her expectations. Because she's great at being British. She when I message her, she's drinking a cup of tea pretty often. Her voice is that accent that makes her sound smart, which is pretty unfair because she's talking about the same stupid stuff as I am, but then when you're a hamburglar and suddenly I just would trust you with my life. And she sent me a picture of her cardboard cutout of the Queen, which I assume is standard issue, although I'm not sure that the wizard hat is. And the problem is I'm not great at being American. I've never fired a gun. I don't eat at that many chain restaurants. I hate barbecue. And I would probably keel over from exhaustion before my body physically allows me to fall asleep in a room with the likeness of any American president. I want to be proper American, but like the rest of the world expects us to either be like rounding up cattle or once you found out I was a city kid, smoking a big long cigar with my friend Tony. I have said bada bing, bada boom unironically before, but that's just because I'm part Italian. There's nothing American about that. The one time I did feel like a true American in her eyes was when she mentioned spray sheets when I was gathering material for this set. And I did have photographs of the one time I tried that. And when I said them, she said, why do you Americans take photos of everything, every new experience? And so I guess I don't need a truck. I'm okay the way I am. And I was wondering why we have this whole rule where we can just disrespect Britain so much, like every single day. So I looked back through history and it turns out it's because they stole everywhere. So yeah, Mo, what's up with that? Sorry, I don't know if that was a sneeze. So, the pandemic has been pretty bad for mental health, as you all know, hopefully. So there really is like no better time to try out a new coping mechanism. And as like the leading expert of coping mechanisms, I figured people would come to me for advice. they didn't. I still have advice though, so listen up, because like stand-up's my coping mechanism, and that's your problem now. Now, when you're feeling negative, therapists and like online friends might tell you about positive self-affirmations. They're little expressions of self-love that you can say whenever you want. And I actually did try this, and it became like, I guess, a compulsion. Like every time I walk past a mirror, I'd be like, "Huh, I'm sexy." But that got real uncomfortable. Now the court says I'm not allowed within 50 feet of any mirrors or puddles or ponds. So it's time for Plan B. I've come up with an alternative system, the antidote to positive self-affirmations. I haven't been to therapy in a long time, and I've gone rogue. Negative else affirmations. They're like negative things that you say about other people. Like, lately school's been really getting me down, like, pandemic fatigue, not the energy to turn anything in. I'm not the smart one anymore. What the hell am I? So I have one of my favorite negative else affirmations, which is, school is lame and the DOE is a bunch of squares. Pardon my language, every comedian has an edgy phrase. And now I'm like still doing badly, but like, who cares what those nerds think of me? I can see a small child and go like, hey, at least I'm not that small anymore. At least I'm not young. At least I've been taught by the world to value certain things above my mental health. And like, yeah, they're young and stupid. And like, even at home, when like my cat walks across my lap, I just get to say to him, you smell so bad. And that just makes me feel a little better. This isn't being mean. I'm not being mean. This is all self-care, so it's completely okay. This is self-care. You can try it. It's not, I mean, you don't even have to say it out loud. Like, it's for negative else affirmations, it's actually very dangerous to say them out loud. So you just have to bottle up your thoughts and emotions like you did before, and just think bad things about other people. It won't make you feel better, honestly, but it's something you can do for self-help. And the interesting distinction is that while positive self-affirmations are known to be pretty good at fending off depression, negative else affirmations are actually an early warning sign of depression. So like, that's fun. Now if you'll excuse me, I do have a Brit to apologize to.
Keep it going for Sally Ray. Hey, listen, I'm all for audibly insulting anybody on this planet in public, okay? That makes me feel good. Muted myself for the cough. Folks, we have a few more comedians left, and I hope you're enjoying the show because it's gonna keep coming. Your next comedian is absolutely, positively hilarious. Keep it going for Saskia Penning. Keep it going for Saskia.
So a fun fact about me, or well, it's not really like a fun fact, but a fact about me is that I played softball for 2 miserable years of my childhood, and I was bad at it. Like, I was awful at it, and I can like say that now. Like, I've totally come to terms with it. I'm 100% okay with my softball inadequacy. But I wasn't just like bad at softball. I was the absolute worst on the team. And I can like actually say that like in full confidence, because the thing about softball is that it's like one of the only sports where there's an actual ranking from like 1 to 12 of who hits first and who hits last. And the worst players always hit last, best players always hit first. And I always hit 12. So I wasn't just like not one of the strongest players on the team. I was like dead worst, like the actual worst. So with other sports, like you might have a general idea that you're not like one of the best players on the team. Like when I played basketball and I sat on the bench the entire season, I had a pretty good idea that I wasn't going to make it to like the WNBA. But with softball, I like not only knew exactly how bad I was, I knew exactly how much better every single other player was than me by ranking. So that was definitely great for child me's confidence. I don't know if that like if you can really like visualize like just how bad that was. So, you know that feeling where you're like prepubescent and you think you're the worst at everything and like anything you do is the most embarrassing thing ever. Now imagine that feeling, but for me it was true and I knew it was true and I had numerical evidence of just how true it was, like printed on a laminated piece of paper, hung up in a dugout for like all these tween eyes to like feast on the entire game. Uh, that was great. And then on top of everything else, the coach would call out the lineup or like ranking or whatever at the beginning of every game. So not only did everyone know exactly how bad I was, we were all reminded of exactly how bad I was by like a screaming bald dad who probably didn't want to be spending his Saturday nights coaching annoying kids in like one of the most boring games known to man. And I think this coach got a little bit carried away with it too, because I swear one time I like asked for a different flavor of Capri Sun or something at snack, and I heard him under his breath say, "Not for number 12, you can't," which I felt pretty cruel. And I mean, maybe I'm getting, maybe I'm overreacting, but I feel like number one definitely would have gotten that berry blast Capri Sun. It was a hard pill to swallow. But to really like give you the best sense of my like softball despair, I like to like break down the rankings, right? And so if you're hitting like first through third, like you're really good at softball, like probably to the point where it's like one of the only things you're actually good at. And like you have one of those dads who like no matter how good you play at the end of the game, he's like, I think we both agree that that wasn't your best, something like that. If you're hitting like fourth through sixth, you're no prodigy and you probably have one of those like supportive dads who like at the end of the game gives you a hug and is like good job or something stupid like that. If you're hitting 7th through 10th, I mean, like nobody really cares about you. Like, maybe you're just doing softball to be able to hit something really hard, and I don't blame you. There's a lot of 6th grade rage that I need to get out. But if you're hitting like 11th or 12th like I was, I mean, like your dad probably doesn't even come to the games at that point. Like you might not even have parents. Like who cares? You might as well be an orphan at that point. And you probably like break a resting heartbeat once throughout the entire game. And it's during snack time, not because of anything actually athletically related. The second year I played softball, I actually played for 2 seasons. I really don't know why. It was horrible. I improved, like I actually got better, but because of that stupid ranking, there was like a number that represented exactly how much better I was. And it turns out that number was 6. I was exactly 6 rankings better than I was last year. So 6 was a representation of like a year's worth of grueling hard practice and improvement. So that was great. And I definitely wasn't first, but at least I wasn't 12th anymore. I would love to be able to tell you that my struggles ended with softball, but sadly they did not. And so I feel like this is as good a time as any, and feel free to stop me if this is too embarrassing, or too depressing, but I'm probably not like the most mentally stable. Like if I had to just take a guess, I wouldn't say that I'm like the picture of perfect mental health, right? And neither are my friends, if they don't mind me saying that, but like we're all okay with it, right? Like we are totally happy where we are. We would not go to, improve for the world. But I guess the way that I would just like to, the way I'd put it is like, we're not the people you would see on like the good kind of pamphlets at your therapist's office, right? Because there are 2 very different kind of pamphlets. I don't know if you noticed, but I have, and all the time I spent there. And there's like those pamphlets that are like right front and center on like the waiting room table. And they have like a smiling woman on them and like jeggings and a colorful cardigan. And she's like outside with children who might or might not be hers, and they're doing something annoying like smelling flowers or playing with a dog or something like that. And then the title is like the benefits of daily physical exertion in like Helvetica, like a really snobby font. And then there are those pamphlets that are like hidden behind your therapist's desk that they have to take out like just for you. And that one has like a lone teenager on it in a dark room, and they're like lit by just like the sickly glare of an iPad in their lap. And that one is called like Enough is Enough, Seeking Help While You Still Can, in like Times New Roman bold, because I feel like that's a font that really just screams depression right in your face. And that second pamphlet is definitely more me and my friend's vibe, like 100% really fits us. But being depressed and having like depressed friends, it's interesting for a lot of different reasons, mostly because like at least daily, one of us will like go to the other people and be like, so I want to take a long walk off a short pier. Is that normal? And we're all like, yeah, oh my God, that is so normal. Everyone feels that way. Which like, no, that is not normal. Not everyone feels that way, but we don't know because we're in this like nice little depression bubble where everything is like that. And that's just our daily conversation. But then when I'm around like mentally healthy people or whatever, it's like that creates a whole new problem because then they're like, yeah, I go to bed at 10:30 every day and I don't want to rip my own face off. And I'm like blown away. It like really, shocks me. But also I'm just like, I'm struck because their lives must be so boring. Like they have all this happy free time. Like, what do they do with it? Like, I don't just like, if you don't have to take like at least 2 weeks to like regularly lose your mind and like bury yourself in your like room like a hibernating woodland creature using the Lady Gaga Oreos in your bed as exfoliant, like what do you do with all of your time? Like and by the way, it has to be the Lady Gaga Oreos because I might be depressed, but I'm not a savage. And quite frankly, nothing really screams mental illness like Chromatica inspired pink and green Oreos do. That and Times New Roman bold, of course. But anyways, if you find yourself face to face with one of these like happy people, or happies as I like to call them, it is very possible that they'll be like, let's all go to the gym together. And then that's when I leave. I just walk away at that point. Because depressed people, we can't go to the gym. Like that's just something we definitely can't do. Like these happy people might be totally fine there, but we don't have enough willpower. Like that's the thing that strikes me most about them, how much fight they have left in them. Like if a depressed person lifted weights and the weights fought back, we just be like, yeah, okay, you win. Like that's fair enough. Take that. But also like, why would we need to go out of our way, depressed people, to like run in circles or like lift heavy stuff or like whatever goes on there? I don't really know. When like it's a workout for us just to get out of bed in the morning. Like it seems like overkill, right? Like just not necessary at all. The way I like to put a positive spin on it really is like the world is our gym. I think that's like a nice little way to think about not being able to get out of bed. But it is also very possible while you're still face to face with one of these happies that they'll ask you to go to brunch, and brunch can be okay. No need to freak out. But you have to be careful because they might want to go at like 11 in the morning, like sick perverts. And then that's when they've gone too far again, because that's another thing depressed people can't do is like brunch or really any meal while the sun is still like high in the sky. Because with a depressed person, you're like really lucky if they can like work up the courage to eat cold ramen noodles at like midnight. So there's absolutely no way they're going to be totally ready and on board to eat like egg souffle at the crack of dawn. Just wouldn't work out. And it's kind of rude to even ask, to be honest. It's like if you asked a person who gets winded going up the stairs to like climb Mount Everest and at 11 in the morning. It's just crazy. Yeah, that was my set. Thank you very much. Hopefully not too depressing in the end.
Keep it going for Saskia. Don't feel bad for Saskia. She's a comedian. It's what comedians do, okay? They talk about their depression. All right? They call you a pervert if you want to eat pancakes after 11 a.m. at a restaurant. Give it up for Saskia, everybody. Hilarious. We got two more comedians left. And they are fantastic. The first of those two comedians is so wonderful, so funny, so great. Give it up for Leah Breakstone, everybody.
Thank you. So, have you guys ever done trust exercises for team building and bonding? I have. It worked pretty well. I didn't bond with anyone, but I did gain something. Irreversible trust issues. Freshman year of high school, we went on a field trip to get to know each other, and some genius thought that in order to do that, they should blindfold a bunch of 14-year-olds and have them lead each other up a mountain. First of all, I couldn't do that without a blindfold. Second of all, can we just slow down for a minute? Why can't we start on a flat surface, like the open field at the bottom of the mountain readily available to us? Also, I would never trust these people. You want me to trust Max, who literally killed our 4th grade class pet and tried to blame it on Sarah for like 5 years? Or Jake, who tried to convince everyone that his dad was Leonardo DiCaprio? I wouldn't trust these people with doing my laundry, and I'm supposed to trust them with my life? Well, I did. As the cocky freshman I was, I thought I was pretty popular, but apparently that was not a universal perspective. I definitely was not a priority, specifically to my partner, who stopped leading me in the middle of the mountain when she got distracted by a Snapchat from her 12-year-old prepubescent lover. I tripped and flipped over a tree stump out to kill me, which is a great metaphor for my high school experience. As I rolled down the hill, life flashing before my blindfolded eyes, I couldn't help but think, private school sounds really nice right now. And was my high school peak literally yesterday? I was left mostly unscathed besides my dignity and about 40 splinters. I had to return to the rest of the group looking somewhat like a tumbleweed or maybe a 50-year-old man trying to disguise himself while hunting, covered in sticks and leaves. Did my peers look somewhat guilty for allowing me to plummet down the mountain since they could have easily stopped it? No. Although they did have a new nickname for me, Splinter. And not because I resembled the sewer rat from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, although I think I'd prefer that. I guess the trust exercise did work in the sense that I learned to never trust anyone ever again and to not participate in any trust activities in the future. So growing up, I played a lot of different sports, but I was always on the losing team. I literally never won a single game ever. Looking back on this, I kind of realized that the only constant variable on all those teams is actually me. I guess you could say I'm a bad luck charm. I'm not the rabbit's foot, I'm more like the rabbit's arm. Or maybe I just lack athletic ability. Basically, if I'm on your team, you are entitled to throw a tantrum or like maybe commit arson. Honestly, that sounds reasonable. Or really just uproot your entire family's life and move so you can be in a different school district because we are not winning any games. In fact, we probably won't even play a full game because they'll have to use the mercy rule on us. Being mercied means that everyone has lost all hope in your team and has decided that no one's parents should have to suffer through the entire game because you're just losing by so much. There is no chance you can make a comeback. So the game just ends like right then and there. This rule was made just for the most terrible teams. And honestly, I'd like to think that it was made to benefit these teams. Like, clearly sports aren't working out, but maybe they still have a chance academically. Like, let's let them leave early so they can work on their homework and maybe get their grades up. I imagine a bunch of middle-aged men sitting in a room and creating mercy rule, being like, what should the score be for the game to end early? And then another guy is like, I don't know. Let's make it something that would never happen, like 20-0. I honestly think my team took this as a challenge because we were out of there like 30 minutes tops every time. What I lack in athleticism, I make up for in entertainment. I preferred performing sports rather than just playing them. As a child, I taught my softball teammates to squat as if they were going to the bathroom in a porta potty in order to catch ground balls. Coaches would sometimes yell at me to slide into the base during a softball game, but A, I didn't know how, and B, I like to make things more interesting to watch, so instead, I would majestically launch myself through the air head first and just hope for the best. I'd also like to point out that the costumes, or as you athletic people like to say, uniforms, are really what kept me playing sports. I just loved the baggy shorts and high socks combo that soccer provided, and the collared shirts and skirts for golf really made my God complex come out. I eventually realized that there are other outlets that allow you to perform without having to do any physical activity. So that was pretty life-changing for me, if I'm going to be honest. So I'm Jewish, and I attended a Jewish overnight camp for many years. And once a summer, they would put on a show that was basically a compilation of scenes from other shows. And a few summers ago, the theme was the Tonys. Yes, they chose to put on a show about an award show that's literally like making the theme of prom homecoming. The show is very lighthearted, people trying to make comical acceptance speeches, and rich 8-year-olds performing It's a Hard Knock Life from Annie. I was the host of the show, so I introduced all the acts and made jokes in between. I was also cast as Anne Frank. A comedy show with Anne Frank. What could go wrong? The directors insisted that I perform a monologue from the Diary of Anne Frank in between making jokes. I imagine that this insensitive decision to add in this completely out of place scene came from some internalized panic. Shoot, I totally forgot that we're a Jewish camp. The rabbi's probably going to be at the show. We need to add something Jewish. Got it. The Holocaust. Why they chose me to do it? It must have been sabotage, specifically since I continuously asked, are you sure I can't do literally anything else? The answer was no. So I'm supposed to host the show, make jokes, and simultaneously teach about the Holocaust. Those vibes do not go well together. Shout out to Bunk 10 for winning Cleanest Bunk of the Week. Your dance moves in that song from Matilda were pretty clean too. Folks, on a serious note, the Holocaust was a tragedy. Wow, thank you, Bunk 1, for that amazing performance of Under the Sea from The Little Mermaid. I sure feel like I'm under the sea, drowning in your cuteness. You know who else felt like they were drowning? Jews in 1940s Germany. So I did the monologue. Look, Peter, the sky. We're not the only people who have had to suffer. Kids, that scene was not supposed to be funny because the Holocaust was not funny. You know what is funny? The kids performing our next act, Cats. There was a pause for applause, but no one clapped, partly because I think they were in shock at what they had just witnessed, specifically the 7-year-olds who just learned about World War II for the first time. That performance was definitely the last one of my acting career, and I think it's probably best for everyone if I just stick to comedy from now on. Thank you so much. You've all been great.
Keep it going for Leah. Multi-talented, folks. Okay, if you have any super depressing books you want acted out on stage in front of a camp full of kids, hit up Leah, folks. Okay, we have one more comedian for this evening. She is phenomenal, funny, great. Give it up for Petra Popper Friedman, everybody. Keep it going for Petra.
Hey guys. Thank you for coming to the shows, and thank you for coming to these throughout the year. I know that Zoom comedy is everybody's favorite thing, so it wasn't that hard, but thank you anyway. I'm really excited that the city is starting to open back up again with museums and going to do things. And I was thinking about what like museums and cultural institutions in New York have really defined my childhood and growing up here. And you would assume that it's like the Natural History Museum and the Met. And it's undoubtedly the Tenement Museum, which is an educational haunted shack on the Lower East Side. And if you are a kid in Manhattan, especially Lower Manhattan, what happens is that you go there every year until you die. And for those who don't know, tenements were these like low-income apartment complexes for especially like turn of the century new Eastern European immigrants. They're very dirty and very sad. And the tours reflect that. They show you around and they're like, hello. In this corner, we can see where 14 Irish children died screaming in a fire. If we will pivot to this wall, we will see a bookshelf, which is ironic as none of the McConnell family could read. And going to the other corner, that is where the remaining 7 children died in a separate but equally vicious fire. And at some point, clearly the marketing team realized that most of their tours were kids and they needed to make it a little peppier. So they brought in these like reenactor people, and suddenly they were coming in like, hi, I'm Rebecca Feldstein, and I was born in 1906. I lived in this building with my parents and 2 sisters. Every 3 weeks, we would go to the market and buy a single potato and split it between the 5 of us for the next 3 weeks. My parents lived in the, lived in the sweatshop across the street, which is now a boutique gallery for Kleenex art. Don't worry, a lot grosser than it sounds. And these stairs are actually hugely important to my life. That step is where it ended because of dysentery at age 27. And actually, thankfully, both of my sisters did survive me for the next 2 years. And then they died in a third completely unrelated fire. Please check out our gift shop. We have tote bags and a t-shirt that says "I survived cholera" in Yiddish and a handful of loose teeth we found under one of the floorboards. So enjoy second grade, you guys. I'm very happy that New York is opening up. I have spent the past year, like I assume a lot of you, completely on the computer and online, which has made me definitely desensitized to a lot of stuff, especially ads. I feel like I used to like be really annoyed when a video would be sponsored and that would like really stick out to me. Don't even notice it anymore. And I wrote a song about that because what else can one do when trapped in the house? I was watching an influencer on Instagram, and that was my first mistake. She was just like taking us through her night routine and honestly just like talking about makeup, and people are always asking her how she gets such an amazing highlight, and honestly, she wishes, guys, but actually her skin's just like oily under the light. Excuse me, have I had a brain hemorrhage or have you? My skin can't be shiny except when it's shiny, and there's a difference between the two. Why are you now selling me a $30 powder to look like I'm sweating? How did I not realize this was an ad? This video's upsetting. Da 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 da. And I still don't understand highlight. Da 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 da. I need to stop going on Instagram at night. I was watching the same influencer on her YouTube channel, and that was my second mistake. She wants us to know that today's video is sponsored by Honey, which just makes it easy to shop online. It shows you coupons and saves you time, and everyone's using it, guys. Like Kris Jenner's using it. Doesn't that blow your mind? Excuse me, is this the same brain hemorrhage as before? Kris Jenner's a billionaire. What does she need the coupons for? Why is there an ad for coupons on a video titled "Reduce Fat with Eyeliner"? Does it make me a moron if I clicked even though I know better? Da 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 da. Should I download Honey? Da 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 da. I mean, Kris Jenner is good at having money. YouTube used to be a host of such wonderful things like how to build a robot or watch a puppy learn how to sing. It was what united us as a worldwide group of nations. And I keep using it to watch TikTok compilations. That's right. I use a social media to watch another social media so I can say, oh, I'm not one of those people who downloaded that social media. But TikTok compilations only ever try to sell me colored lights for my bedroom, which is at least not terrible morally. My face isn't wrong and my wallet's not bad, but my walls are admittedly not blinking. Just let me have this one thing, my self-esteem is shrinking. Da 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 da. Renegade, 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 renegade. Da 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 da. I should go on Instagram. Hope you guys enjoyed the song. Oh, okay. Actually, I have a few more minutes. 6:30. Oh, okay. I normally do like songs and like involved stories and stuff, but given that I have a few extra minutes, I wrote down like a list of observations because like relatable observational humor is like a big thing in comedy. So I'm gonna test these out on you guys, and you can't do anything about it. Okay, what's my first one? Oh, right. You know, at the end of blooper reels, there's always like 2 minutes of like the cast and crew dancing. Does anyone like that part? Like when I'm searching up Devil Wears Prada bloopers on 1 a.m. on a Wednesday, I'm looking for like Stanley Tucci outtakes, not Meryl Streep stepping snapping to elevator music. Oh, I think that flossing is the great social equalizer because it is medically impossible to look sexy while doing it. So it really levels the playing field for like 30 seconds or so. Oh, God, you know that thing, like when you're in elementary school and you dig up like a handful of worms and like boil them down into like a little like worm ball, like residue thing, and like bring it to recess, so that like on the handball court the next day, regardless of whether you win or lose, like it's a power move. You know how we all did that? Like, why did those always smell so bad? Like you'd take it out of your pocket in this like calcified worm cemetery. Like kids are so weird. Oh, we as a society do not talk enough about how gullible worms are, because you can literally go up to them and be like, I'm going to boil you alive with a bunch of your brethren to impress my friend Tyler. No reaction. Have you ever noticed that the Summer Olympics are like swimming and gymnastics, and then the Winter Olympics are like, here are 50 ways that snow could kill you? Oh, some people name the worms individually, which is not the move, because like then you get attached and you're like, they have souls just like mine. I've lost touch with my humanity. Okay, I know that some of you are sitting there being like, I never did that. I know. Not everybody named the worms individually. I'm sure you were smarter about it, but like a lot of people do. And obviously the move is to name the like ball after it's been cooked. You know me, I'm classic. So I go like biblical names, not Mary. I'm saying that you show up to recess the next day with a calcified worm cemetery called Balthazar, and maybe Tyler will stop cutting you in the lunch line. Anyway, just had a few minutes to fill. Hope that was relatable. And thank you for coming to our show.
Keep it going for Petra. Fantastic. Very relatable stuff. I'm always in the backyard digging up bugs. Also an excellent song. Also an excellent show, if I do say so myself. Folks, that has been our graduation show for today. Thank you so much for being here. Without you folks, well, I assume we probably could still do this. Just because I can't see or hear any of you. But I know you're there. I know you're there. A few things before we leave. I want to say thank you to all of these kids who put in so much hard work, hilarious individuals. They have the most stuff going on in their lives that is so much more important than stand-up comedy, and they come here each and every week and knock it out of the park. So thank you so much for doing that. I also want to say I'm not the only person that teaches these kids. The assistant for this class and the assistant in all of our hearts, Emma Jane Gonzalez, helping these kids each and every week write jokes and perform and all that stuff. She's fabulous. She does all of the hard work when it comes to this class. I got to be honest. She's great. Also, the director for today, give it up for Matt. Matt, without Matt, he helps us stream to YouTube and all of the technical stuff. He's directing this show, and he's directed all of our shows here on Zoom. So thank you so much, Matt. And Stu and Joanne, I want to say thank you so much. They are the directors of the program. They've been doing this for 20-something years. They're at home watching the show. I'm sure they're applauding right now because it was so great. So thank you to Joanne and Stu, and thank you to you for actually watching our show. And I want to say that if you have a kid who wants to get into comedy, well, please go to kidsandcomedy.com and you can sign up for one of our classes. We are starting our summer camp, which will be virtual this summer, as it was last summer. And it's 3 sessions, back to back to back, 2 weeks for each session. And in the matter of 10 days, your kid will be able to perform about 4 or 5 minutes of stand-up comedy. And so if you're interested in that, or you have a kid that you know it's interested, send them our way. We'd love to have them anywhere around the world. And it's probably going to be the last summer that we do this. So if you're not located in New York City, we'll sign up. Because normally we are in Gotham Comedy Club in New York City. And hopefully we'll be back there maybe in the fall. But stay tuned and check our Instagram and our Facebook and all that fun stuff. Okay, that's it for us, folks. We are going to wave goodbye until the stream ends like creepy weirdos. Goodbye. Keep waving. Never stop. Never stop waving. I do a thumbs up